5 ways to bring SEL into Edtech. This is our final ISTE 2019 new episode. I hope you've enjoyed. Erkund is today's sponsor. Stay tuned at the end of the show to learn about Erkund's plagiarism prevention abilities and how you can have a free trial for the end of this school year. Simply use the code COOLCAT to get a whole month free of Erkund.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today, we're talking with Mark Sparvell. He leads quite a bit of research at Microsoft. Mark, I know that you researched some on the class of 2030 and as well as emotion and cognition in the age of AI. Where do we start as we start trying to understand where education is heading as well as where technology is heading?
Yeah, thanks for that, Vicki. That is the big question that, we're often asked is around what is the direction education is taking? What are the pressures on schools at the moment? How are they responding to those? What can we be doing to best prepare young people, for a life of work, but also a social life in the future. So back in 2018, we worked with McKinsey and Company to undertake a fairly substantial global scan where we listened to 2,000 teachers across 4 countries, 2,000 students, and then we also caught up with 70 sort of thought leaders, subject matter experts, and we looked through 150 bits of evidence and things that were happening in education because, as a school leader and a teacher myself, there's just so much happening. There is so much information, the volume, the velocity, the variability of it. Sometimes it's hard to find out what are the signals, what are the things that we should be attending to.
So what did you discover in the research?
Yeah, it was really, really interesting. One of the things that came through the strongest in this class of 2030 research, which looked at how the world of work is changing, pressures on schools, promising approaches. It also listened to the experiences, the expectations and aspirations of young people. The thing that came through the strongest was a signal around the need for teachers, schools and school leaders to help develop stronger social and emotional skills. Came through everyone and everywhere. And while we know as educators this isn't new, we've always been focused on social and emotional dimension of learning, it's suddenly newly important for more people.
It's shocking, Mark. A couple of years ago, I was talking to a student and they said, because I'm a child of the 80s, so they said, the 80s were awesome. And I said, why? They said, because you had a lot of technology and stuff, but you didn't have these. And the child took the cell phone and put it right in front of me. And I said, you're telling me that the 80s were awesome because we didn't have these? And the student said, yeah, because we can't control ourselves. We're all addicted and we don't talk to people anymore. I mean, is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, well, this is a really interesting part of the story that came up, which was around what's the role of technology in this agenda? And if we go back to the social and emotional skill component, one of the critical skills is self-regulation, the ability to manage your own emotions because your emotions control your behaviours, your ability to recognise and regulate your emotions and yourself in social situations and make responsible decisions. I mean, they are some of the key social and emotional skills which are critical if people are to be able to manage, to your point, dealing with distraction, how they refocus their attention. One of the things that came through really clearly was that, emotions are the gatekeeper of cognition, motivation, and attention. We were kind of curious as we dug down further into this research around, are these skills a premium outside of school? So we found that in growth employment areas, that 30 to 40% of them will place a premium on social and emotional skills. So as automation and AI changes the workforce, the very skills and dispositions that make us most human will become most valuable, which is really encouraging. But even when we looked at employers right now today, 58% of them said that students today entering the workforce were just not ready. and they cited social and emotional skills as lacking. And when we asked the young people themselves, 55% of them agreed. So that was kind of interesting in the early stages of the research. We also were curious around, were the students getting enough feedback around their social skills, their emotional state? 50% of the teachers out of the 2,000, they said that they offered feedback, but when we asked their students, only 30% agreed. So the students were saying quite consistently that they wanted feedback around their social and emotional skills. They wanted opportunities to develop those skills. In fact, when we asked the students to rank their top 5 skills as outcomes of their education, they placed social and emotional skills in their top 5, but their teachers didn't.
Interesting. And, giving feedback on social and emotional skills can be very challenging, for sure. It's easy for kids and parents to take offense when you start dealing with that sort of thing. So that's certainly a challenge. So your research showed some tensions, didn't it?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, the tensions were between, what the students were prioritizing as important outcomes for schooling around their skills and what the teachers were focused on. And this certainly isn't blaming teachers, as I've been one. And when we dug in deeper with our research, Emotion and Cognition in the Age of AI, which was led by the Economist Intelligence Unit, they found very clearly that, 70% of teachers plus ranked social and emotional skills as critical for developing literacy, for academic success, for promoting communication skills. They also noted, the teachers in that survey, 70% of them had said across the span of their career, the social and emotional dimension has become more and more important in their everyday teaching.
We talk about personalized learning for every single student, but I think typically we're talking about more like a personalized playlist and content. And, I think it's very important, it sounds like, that we keep the interpersonal relationships as part of the education, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And you've hit on something that came through loud and clear. The students in the Class of 2030 survey basically said, we want autonomy, but we don't want automation of our learning. We don't want to be sat in front of a device all of the time, delivering us content. They were very clear. They said that we want to have strong relationships with our teachers. We want teachers who know the content and how to teach, but also know the learners and how they learn. And the students were very clear about the critical role of the relationship with the teacher. They don't want a robot. They want to have a teacher who knows them and how they learn best. And that's really promising, because the research also showed that the teaching profession is least at risk of automation because of its interpersonal, social and emotional dimension. And also it's one of the professions ranked to grow and also to green. We'll have more teachers, but they'll be younger as we move across the 2030s.
Well, and one thing I tell teachers is that if you've been teaching the same year 30 times in your life, you just teach the same thing over and you keep using the same handouts and you keep using everything the same from your filing cabinet, you can be automated because there's nothing changing. But if you teach a different year each of your 30 years, that's what can be replaced, is the teacher who customizes and tweaks their lessons and makes things slightly different and knows their students and says, hey, this group loves soccer and this group loves volleyball and they love different things. So let's kind of tweak these lessons based upon their interests.
Yeah.
And technology can really help us relate more to students if we use it effectively.
Yeah, I completely agree there. I mean, the greatest potential for technology in education is not to digitize the curriculum, but it's actually to humanize the learning experience. And I thought maybe I might share with you my kind of top 5 or 6 simple ways people can focus more on the social and emotional dimension of learning using technology. Would that be useful?
Yes, if we can do it quickly so we can keep it to 10 minutes.
No worries. So one way would be, we know that great teachers often start the day with a check-in with students or close out the day with a check-in. Using technology is a really simple way to make sure that everybody has a voice, particularly the quiet students who can have some time and space to reflect and review their thoughts, their feelings, and record those, whether it's on, Flipgrid or OneNote or any particular digital tool. So using technology for a check-in and a check-out is really powerful and helps to develop an emotional vocabulary. The other one I would say, which is an obvious one, is intentionally provide opportunities for social learning in pairs and small groups using technology. We know that social learning isn't new. It's a continuous process of learning from other people. But video is a great example. Video platforms are a brilliant example where kids can come together. And if I finish up on number 3, teach them how to work in groups. So the World Economic Forum called out technologies like Minecraft Education Edition as being brilliant for incorporating strategies to build social and emotional learning, because success in those environments requires students to be resourceful, to take initiative, and also to secure essential elements together. So there's 3 quick and easy ways you can.
Oh, but Mark, we have to do the other 2 or 3. So go ahead.
Oh, please. My favorite one then is increasing emotional intelligence. You can do that simply by building emotional vocabulary. So, and that's as simple as associating words with our emotions. So anytime students are involved in working together, let's say they're using MakeCode or hacking STEM activities or Minecraft, creating situations where they negotiate, debate, reason, justify, and persuade, you can develop their emotional intelligence simply by increasing their emotional vocabulary. The critical thing here for young people is to recognize, understand, label, express, and regulate their emotions. So my last one is allow lots of talk time. It's obvious. Metacognition is a big word for something most of us do every day without noticing it. But using technology to allow students to run those thoughts in their heads, to sound out, to explore ideas without them being graded and marked is really powerful. And using tools like learning tools or translate tools really unlocks it for students who might have English as a second language or might be struggling to learn English. One of the benefits of developing metacognitive thinking is increased self-regulation, which at the end of the day, that's one of the foundation blocks for social and emotional skills.
I think the thing I love about all of this conversation is that we're all still using technology, but it's almost like we're becoming human again.
Exactly. And these are things that people can do Monday, not someday, to just help to develop an emotional vocabulary in their students, leveraging the tools that they already have, but with intent so that they start to think about social and emotional skills as fundamental, not ornamental.
Love it, Mark. Thank you for all of these thoughts. I think these are this research is fascinating. And educators, we need to remember that, as Wayne Gretzky said, he was successful because he always skated to where the puck was going to be, not where it was. And as we keep an eye on the future, we need to know that this is where we're heading. And I believe we're already there now because these students are in our classroom now. And as a guest said on a recent episode, we already have Martians in our classroom. The first person who is going to land on Mars is most likely alive today. But when they get to Mars and they have other people there, they'll still need to get along with others. So thank you so much, Mark.
It's my absolute pleasure.
Today's sponsor is Erkend. Erkend is great as a plagiarism prevention tool and connects with most common learning management systems like Google Classroom, Moodle, or Canvas, or as a standalone web tool or by email. Students just turn in work, then the teacher has a paper analyzed by Erkend. The Erkend system is highly accurate, cost-effective, and even better, doesn't sell licenses to students or others. Just teachers can use the power of Erkend. So if you use another text similarity detection tool, or if you haven't used one yet, now is the time to start your free trial at coolcatteacher.com/detect or coolcatteacher.com/Erkend. That's spelled URKUND. And learn more about Erkend today. And remember, use the code COOLCAT to get a whole month free.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.